Hello! This is Lin Ma, and today we're going to talk about my most honest tips for battling very debilitating depression. So this is my outfit, and let's get started. I'm only going to be speaking about my own experiences because I am not an expert, I am not a therapist, I am not a doctor. All I can do is speak for myself and hope that it can have some type of impact on somebody else out there. I've struggled with depression for, a couple to few years on and off to different degrees at different times. And the hardest parts were when I felt like I couldn't even get out of bed, where I had such a heaviness in my body that was coming from the sadness, and I couldn't do the things that make me a human being, just take care of myself. So I'm going to talk about what I did during those times that helped me. The main point I have that encompasses all the tips that I will give. The first main point is this: try to do what is good for you. There are some keywords in this thing, so let's break it down a bit. First keyword I want to say is do. Now, doing, I think, is so important because I think when you're doing something, you also are more present because you're going through the motions and having to concentrate on something else other than your negative thoughts. And lastly, there's this satisfaction of completion. And I think for humans, it's really important to know that you're able to accomplish something. That gives you a little boost of confidence to get you to the next step. Now, that's something my best friend Julia really taught me because she makes a lot of checklists for everyday things that she has to work on. And she taught me that it really helps her kind of get the ball rolling to be able to check things off and be proud of yourself for accomplishing it. The second set of keywords I'm gonna say is good for you. What do I mean by that? I mean things that are necessary for you to be a healthy and happy human being. What was the hardest about depression in general is the feelings of worthlessness and shame. I would feel very unworthy of my life. I would feel unworthy of my friends, everything good that life had to offer. And I would feel a lot of shame. And it was a vicious cycle because I would feel shame about the shame, then feel more shame. And it keeps going. We want to end that cycle of feeling shame and worthlessness and all these other negative emotions and negative thoughts. So I believe that doing what is good for you is something that can break that pattern. Start building habits towards being a healthier person. You want to feel like you deserve a good life. So you gotta do things that are good for you to remind yourself of that and to learn that, relearn that. And then last keyword that I wanna point out is try. Why just try? Why not just do what is good for you? Because I believe that sometimes you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you are just so depressed that you can't do what is good for you. And that's okay. I really believe that's okay because the goal for me is to get through the day. You tried. And that's really what matters, is that you took that step or you had that thought in your mind to try to do what is good for you. But if you don't make it there, that's still fine. You still have made some progress. And I really believe that. Now there's one more main point that I have, and that is try to do the bare minimum. Now once again, try is a key word here. But the other keywords are, of course, bare minimum. Why do I say that? Why am I telling someone to do the bare minimum? That doesn't sound right because usually life tells us to work your hardest, do the best you can. But again, when you're depressed, you are literally sick. you might not be able to do the best you can because your body can't get there. Your mind won't let your body get there. You want to be able to take baby steps. And this goes back to what I was saying about the satisfaction of completion, where if you take baby steps, there's a more likely chance that you will be able to accomplish that thing. And if you do, then there's a better chance you will derive some type of confidence or happiness from it, and that will lead you to the next step. So this point really came from my experience of therapy, because sometimes I felt I was being recommended things that I didn't feel capable of in the moment, such as going for a walk, exercising, and seeing friends, whatever it was. Sometimes I just didn't feel like I could do it because the sadness was so intensely burdensome, but that just meant I needed to rethink it. I can do it my way, and whatever helps me is what's going to get me through the next steps. Alright, so now that we have the main points out of the way, I will get into the tips. Take a sip of water. That sounds really, really easy. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of these tips are going to sound sarcastic because they're going to sound like too little of a thing to recommend someone who is going through something so difficult. But I'm just really being realistic and honest here. I think sometimes it's too difficult to do something when your whole body is rejecting it. For example, when I was really, really depressed, my body was rejecting water. Like, I couldn't drink that much of it for some reason. But we all know that hydration is the key to success. Hydration is so important. It's a known fact. You don't even need to look up the research to see that it's true. However, if you're in a tough place, it might be difficult to drink 2 liters of water. It might be difficult to drink 8 cups of water. So that's why I say start with 1 sip. Maybe in an hour or 2, you'll be able to take another one. Get the hydration rolling by taking 1 sip of water. The next one I have is stand up. Now, why do I say stand up? That sounds, again, very silly. However, the reason I say that is because even standing up, I found out, burns calories. Because you're literally fighting gravity to get back up. And when I was going through, a very deep depression, I didn't want to get up. I was in bed for way longer and I couldn't get out of bed. And even standing up to go to the bathroom felt like such a chore. So that's why I say challenge yourself to stand up. The more challenging version of this advice would be to go for a walk. But sometimes I would be so sad that I literally couldn't go for a walk. But even now, sometimes I feel lazy and I don't want to go for a walk when I should. So I think don't hold yourself to too high of a standard. Like I said, do the bare minimum, just stand up. And if that's too easy, then walk around the room. Walk around the room and then slowly build up to going for a longer walk. Next thing, eat something you like or just eat to live. I think the reason I put that down is because I think most people have a very emotional relationship with food. Food can bring joy, food can bring comfort, and I think that's why picking something that might be able to do that for you is really important. Whenever I'm sick, I go for Korean food because that's the food I grew up eating. So I go for Korean food to feel that comfort that I get, that is associated with my mom, that is associated with my childhood. Now, it might be difficult to eat a whole meal if you're depressed because it's just like when you're sick. When you're sick, it's hard to have a really delicious meal. So if that's the case, just eat to live. And by that, I mean, eat some crackers if you have to. Eat a piece of bread. Just eat something to nourish yourself because you need food to keep going. So just remind yourself that you need it. Have at least a cracker. Next, look up therapists and email one. Now, this is a more difficult task, I think, because I am asking of you to try to look for help in that depressive state, and sometimes you feel very ashamed to ask for help. However, I think professionals who are trained and have learned how to deal with these issues are one of the best resources out there for us. I was able to find a therapist who was able to prescribe me medication. And I want to take this moment to acknowledge that medication above all things has helped me the most. Now, because my topic is about just getting through the day, I didn't want to talk about, recommending medication because one, I'm not a doctor. I have no right to recommend medication, but also I'm just talking about the little tasks to get through the day. But I think looking up a therapist and emailing one is a very harmless and helpful task to do, because asking for help is a really brave thing to do when you're depressed. So that's why I think that action is reinforcing you acknowledging that you deserve to get better. Email a therapist. You don't have to go through with it, but emailing one just to know that the option is out there and that there is hope for somebody to help you. Next up, clean one thing in your room. I didn't say clean the whole room. That's a lot. Even now, I don't like to clean my whole room, but my mom always reminded me that your room, your space, is a reflection of your mind. So she was very disappointed and shocked when she found my room in college in complete disarray. It did not look cute. Now, she was also worried because she felt that that meant my mind was also in a terrible state. And it's true, my mind was at that moment. Because your space is so tied to how you're feeling, I think it's really important to take at least one step towards cleaning the space. But I said clean one thing. So that just means you can do one, dirty paper towel into the garbage. You can fold one piece of clothing and put it in your dresser. One thing that really helps me is making my bed. Even if you get back right in it after, it's okay. That's fine. But go through the motions of making your bed. It really helps you to start your day. This is one that I really wanted to talk about. So spend time with someone you love and trust. I mentioned my friend Julia. When I was going through a really hard time, she was with me many weeks, and during that time I cried multiple times and I was kind of a mess. And throughout it all, she didn't judge me, she stood by me, and she was there for me. Now, this was a reminder to me that I am deserving of a good relationship, a healthy relationship, a loving relationship. So I say, if you're going to spend time with anyone, which I know is difficult to do when you're depressed, I say do it with someone you really love and trust, because you need a reminder that you have people out there that want the best for you and want you to get better. And then lastly, I just want to say, if things are too hard, don't do anything at all. It's okay to have those moments. Now, I listed all these things to do, right? But I'm not saying do this back to back to back to back. That would be too much. That would be too much. And I think working your hardest, doing the most, I think those things are overrated, to be honest with you. I think life is about getting through and enjoying it and being healthy. And in order to do that, there has to be times where you're not doing anything at all. And that's fine. You might be in your negative thoughts, but that's okay too. You don't have to feel shame about that. You can just accept it and then try to take on the little tasks afterwards or later on. So these are the tips I have. I wanted to make this video to say that if you are out there and struggling with depression, I see you and I hear you. It is so challenging, And I know that it seems like everyone else is doing well around you and you're just this loser who can't even get through the day. But it's not true. You never know what someone's going through. You are not alone. I really want to be there for people who are going through the challenges of depression. I just wanted to speak on what has helped me and what's not too overwhelming. And if you have tips for dealing with depression, please share it in the comments below, and please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.